Welcome to Power Wheel, a production of the Transmission Company of Nigeria, TCN. Stay with us for trending reports from the power sector. Leading the pack for this edition is a report on how the federal government is boosting access to bulk electricity through the national grid in Kano and its environs. This is just as TCN recently commissioned key transmission transformers in Wudil and Dan Agundi areas of the state. Away from this, there is a report on boosting the connectivity of Nigeria to off-grid renewable energy. TCN takes safety and the welfare of its staff and stakeholders seriously. A management official from the Health, Safety and Environment Department demonstrates this commitment in our interview segment. Ensure you stay with us for this exciting session. I am Chinwenwa Anyao. Keeping to its commitment of increasing bulk electricity supply to Nigerians, the federal government, through the Transmission Company of Nigeria, has commissioned a 40 MVA transmission substation in Wudil and 60 MVA transformer at the 132 by 33 kV Dan Agundi substation in Kano State.
The Managing Director of TCN, Mr. Usman Guru Mohammed, at the commissioning ceremony of the Wudil substation, said the contract was awarded over 9 years ago, but was abandoned before the President Muhammadu Buhari's administration completed it to demonstrate its commitment to improving power supply in Nigeria.
This substation was awarded more than 9 years ago. Unfortunately, the contract lingered on. We took over by force, and we completed it within a record period of about 2 months. Your Excellency, what we spend in completing this substation is less than 10% of what the contractor was demanding. And if we didn't forcefully take over this substation, we will not be able to complete it. And this is what this Muhammad Buhari administration shows.
Mohammed also said TCN has raised $1.623 billion for its transmission rehabilitation and expansion program, TREP, which is being implemented to raise the national power grid to 20,000 megawatts by 2021.
We came up with what they call transmission rehabilitation and expansion program. Under that program, Your Excellency, TCN has raised $1.623 billion. This is the first time in the history of the power sector that in Nigeria that we have raised this kind of money. And we are working to put N-1 across the country. And what is N-1? N-1 means that every equipment that goes out, that equipment should not affect the supply of that place. So even this substation that we are commissioning today, we are going to make it N-1, meaning any equipment that goes out, that equipment should not affect the supply. And on that record, we intend to expand the grid to at least 21 megawatt by 20,000 megawatt by 2021. And Your Excellency, we are on track.
The new Wudil substation was built along with 3 units of 33 kV feeder circuit breakers. Mr. Mohammed also spoke of plans to deliver more transmission projects in the states, saying,
with the support of His Excellency President Muhammad Buhari under the Transmission Rehabilitation Expansion Program, we are planning to supply Kano three sources. That means we are not just looking at supply through Kaduna, but we are looking at 3 sources. And where are those 3 sources? We are planning to build a 330 cord line from Kaduna to Kano. And this 330 kV cord line is the first time we are building this kind of line in the history of Nigeria.
He commended President Buhari for deeming it wise to complete abandoned power projects, thanking the President for enhancing the power grid from 5,000 megawatts to over 8,100 megawatts. We
came in February 2017. And sir, by end of November, we have expanded the grid from 5,000 to 8,100, sir. We have expanded the grid from 5,000 to 8,100. And Your Excellency, we have achieved also frequency control that has never been achieved in the history of Nigeria. Meaning we are not only working on expanding the grid, but we are also working on providing quality power. As of today, the frequency control of TCN is the best in West Africa. Before now, we don't have something like that.
Mohammed also explained that the Wudil substation would improve power supply in 7 local government areas, including Wudil, Garko, and Gaya, which would enhance their socio-economic well-being. He urged them to support President Buhari to sustain delivery of the huge power projects TCN is implementing.
So we are urging the people of Kano and particularly the people of Wudil, where we have completed this substation, to understand that we cannot complete this project if His Excellency President Muhammad Buhari does not come back. So we are urging people that they have to vote for President Muhammad Buhari for this to continue.
The member representing Wudil Garko Federal Constituency, Honorable Muhammad Ali Wudil, expressed his passion to ensuring that the project was completed after being left for 9 years. He said,
"The project started in 2009, sponsored solely by myself. I'm happy today that we are commissioning this project, and it is by yourself, Your Excellency. And this project, I need to thank the TCN, because the former contractor lived on this project for over 9 years. But when this TCN took over the project, it's completed in just 2 months.
The governor of Kano State, Abdullahi Umar Ganduje, expressed appreciation for the actualization of the project, which he said will boost Kano's economic and commercial status.
We are happy to see that these projects and other projects are being completed. We have to congratulate Mr. President for raising the amount of electricity we are getting in this country from 5,000 megawatts to 8,000 megawatts in just a period of 3.5 years. We have to thank the Managing Director of TCN for assisting our legislators to realize their ambitions in their respective constituencies.
Highlights of the ceremony include the cutting of tape by the Kano State Governor, Abdullahi Umar Ganduje, in company of TCN MD, CEO, Mr. Usman Gur Mohammed. The epoch event signifies the commissioning of the substation that had already begun operation to boost bulk electricity delivery to the distribution network of Kano Electricity Distribution Company, KEDCO, for onward supply to their customers. TCN also commissioned 60 MVA transformer at the 132/33 kV Dan Agundi substation in Dan Agundi Municipal Local Government in Kano State to boost the capacity the substation can deliver to Kano Disco. Shortly before the Emir of Kano, His Royal Highness Muhammadu Sanusi II commissioned the new transformer along with the head transmission service provider TSP TCN, Mr. Victor Adewumi. He enjoined his subjects in the area to avoid building or transacting on transmission line right of way.
The glory of God and the prosperity of Kano, inshallah. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim.
The federal government has signed an agreement to award 1.952 billion naira grants to 26 private sector developers to provide off-grid electricity to rural areas in Nigeria.
The managing director of the Rural Electrification Agency, REA, Mrs. Damilola Ogumbiyi, during the signing ceremony at the REA headquarters in Abuja, said the grant was from the Rural Electrification Fund, REF, to provide access to electricity to people in the rural areas.
Everybody to planning has been part of this. This is really one of the first REA projects with the zonal coordinators that we can really say that we are all very proud of and we're very unified to come together and be able to be here today.
She explained that a trust fund manager was appointed by the REA to manage the REF after the agency was constituted when she assumed office as the MD, CEO of REA.
Because we're a transparent government, the Buhari Osinbajo administration set out certain rules. And one of the rules was to make sure we had a trust fund manager that was independent of REA and also independent of the grantees, to be able to look at what we're doing, monitor it, and give us the check and balances we need. It is very important because while we're using public funds, we have to make sure we use public funds well and in a sustainable manner, because this is going to be one of many, many grant-enabled projects that we have to make sure our underserved areas and our connected people have power at the end of the day.
The agency said the project will create over 400 jobs, providing clean, safe, and reliable electricity to over 43,000 households and businesses. It will also reduce greenhouse carbon emissions annually by over 5,000 metric tons. Mrs. Ogumbiyi noted that previous administrations had tried to secure the grant for several years in vain, but it was actualized in 20 months under the present administration.
It seemed like it's taken a long time, but to be honest truth, with this team I have with us, it has really taken us 20 months, which makes a difference of the 10 years that we had been waiting before. I'm also proud that most of these contractors here are actually investors. They're investors in their country, they're investors in their projects, and these are long-term projects, which is really the future of energy access in Nigeria.
The signed projects comprise 14 solar home systems projects with a total of 995.6 million naira grant sum, another 996.9 million naira grants for the execution of 12 mini-grid and under-the-grid projects.
Experts in the power sector have said power generation and transmission have improved 5 years after the sector was privatized.
They made the assertion at a recent Nexia Power Dialogue in Abuja, where they urged operators of core sections of the value chain, particularly the distribution section, to leverage on improving electricity supply to Nigerians. Former Executive Director of the Market Operator, an arm of the Transmission Company of Nigeria, TCN, Mrs. Ngozi Usoho, who moderated the dialogue, recounted her experience under the defunct PHCN before it was privatized.
We're going to discuss the aftermath 5 years into the Nigeria power sector privatization process. So how has it been? In 2003, the federal government of Nigeria felt a need to review the architecture of the power sector to ensure more reliable, affordable power supply. The first step in this journey was to reform the law upon which NEPA was set up and the power sector operated. In 2005, the Reform Act was passed into law, which is the Electric Power Sector Reform Act. Most people in this room are used to that, EPRS 2005. This gave rise to a lot of reforms, notably among them was the unbundling and privatization of PSCN. It's been 5 years since the privatization occurred. So what were the promises? What were we looking at the time? What were the expectations, or what are expectations? Where are we today?
The Chief Executive Officer, Nekonde Energy, a gas supplier, Mr. Frank Edozie, at the dialogue said despite the privatization of 5 years, he does not still completely depend on power supply from the distribution company, DISCO, that serves him in Lagos.
I also know that not all the gas that I am able to generate is taken by NGC because the GENCOs will not take the gas, and the reason they won't take it is because the DISCOs will not take it and the reason the DISCOs will not take in some cases is because consumers are not paying. So what is different after all these years? Do we have a viable electricity market today in Nigeria?
Yohana Malu from the Bureau of Public Enterprises, BPE, responding to questions of what has changed in the power sector. He said,
we have succeeded in raising institutions that are supposed to serve as the basic materials for the creation of the power market. We have succeeded in having the regulator in place. We have the bulk trader in place. We have the system operator in place. We have the distribution companies in place. We have the TCN, and we're also working on getting more generation in place.
Other participants at the dialogue made their various submissions on charting a way for the privatized power sector.
We're bringing you more reports in the Power Flash segment. Please don't go away. The Transmission Company of Nigeria, TCN, is committed to sustaining quality standard of health, safety and environment, HSE. In this interview, the General Manager, HSE at TCN, Mr. Kangay Sefas, reveals the strategies the company has put in place to ensure safety of its networks, workers, and the prevention of environmental degradation.
My name is Kangay Sefas. That's all Kangay Sefas. I'm the General Manager, Health, Safety and Environment here. I've worked in NEPA, worked in PSN and now TCN.
What is the role of your department at TCN?
Principally, is prevention of accidents and environmental degradation. We do this through so many means. We do sensitization, we do inspections. When we inspect, we look at defects either in the environment or in the equipment or in the process of working, and we advise. We also do safety audits where we look at the whole process. How are people working? How are they supposed to work? How are they working now? What is the gap? Then we advise. We also have a code and safety rules which we try to see that we enforce among our staff. We also enforce the use of personal protective wears, because without them, sometimes there may be human factor and someone will get injured. We look at we do physical inspection of the facilities like our lines, like our equipment, and advise management on the ones that are defective so that they should be repaired.
Does TCN have enough capacity to handle safety issues given its enormous coverage area?
Yes, we have the capacity because our staff are being trained. We are sensitizing them. We are trying to let everyone know that safety is everyone's business. So once you know that it's your own business, you don't need a safety officer to come and stay there as a policeman. Tell don't do this, don't do this, don't do this. TCN is doing that. TCN is also providing safety wares and all that. We are also training our engineers. Our engineers have not taken the core job of doing the engineering work here. Before, there was a lot of reliance on our contractors. So when somebody comes in your house and is sweeping the house and you are just watching, you may not even know how to sweep well. But now, as we are doing the process, we are even learning on the job.
What are the safety issues the company battle with?
In fact, safety is supposed to be a culture. And that culture, the simple definition of a culture is what we do here. So if all the staff imbibe in this culture, you may at a point not even need safety professionals. So our first challenge that we battle with is making this a culture. Making everyone believe that safety is his own responsibility. At a point, if you go to the field, staff may believe that, well, some staff may believe that, well, safety is management responsibility. Sometimes you see me go around the whole country doing sensitization programs, doing inspections. If we had this as a culture, anyone can do that. So it's a challenge. Another challenge that we may think we have is the fact that we are powerless over people who encroach on our right of ways. You cannot go and demolish a house. TCN has no power to go and demolish a house or someone who encroaches on the right of way.
What has TCN delved on the challenge of right of way encroachment?
We do not have power over these people, but we follow the process of getting our right of ways. Before you get a right of way in this country, there must be a survey. There must be apart from the survey of the right of way, there are other processes like environmental impact assessment. You look at what that right of way, the impact it will have on the community. You look at the persons that are affected by that by that line running across. You identify them, you call them, you hold meetings, you pay them off. We expect that as soon as they are paid off, they will leave. Unfortunately, some leave when the right of way has been acquired and the line has been run. They still return to the place. But what TCN is doing basically is that when we meet these kind of challenges, we report to the authorities in the area. Like recently, and we had similar issues in other places, and the MD instructed, we wrote letter to the governor. We copied the commissioner of police in that area, we copied the chairman of the local governments affected, we copied the traditional rulers to help us eject these people. Because the issue of right of way is not just being on that right of way, it's even for the health of those people living on the right of way. You know, if any of our transmission line snaps, it causes a lot of havoc. It burns houses, it burns people, it burns trees and all that. And this is besides the fact that the new concern now is on the proximity to the proximity to our high tension lines. There's the issue of the fear of electromagnetic fields. If the lines emit, if you pass through our line, you hear the hissing like snake. This is the electromagnetic waves. The fear internationally is that the more you are exposed to them, the more they will affect your health. So people ought to know that really they being doing business on the right of way or building structure under the right of way is against their own head. And we think the media should also help us. I think apart from writing that they should leave, at every opportunity the media have, they should let people know that this thing is for your own health. It's a serious challenge, but we don't have the power to remove these people. We only pass through the channels of removal. And sometimes it's not very effective. It's in very few states that the governors have taken the bull by the horns and say, yeah, we're going to demolish these people. But in most of these people, they go and appeal to the people. Sometimes they relocate. After 2 years, you see them back. But we are exploring all the avenues we can. I'm very sure the public affairs has a program it's going to use to air out for people to see the challenges of doing this against their own head. And we too, we are doing sensitization everywhere we go. Even if we go for a right of way meetings, and we announce there. please, if they pay you, you leave, because if you still do business, all of this, it's your health that you are jeopardizing.
We hope you had a wonderful time with us on this edition. Join us next week on the same station for a fresh edition of Power Wheel. This episode and the previous ones are available on our YouTube channel, and you can also connect with us on these other platforms showing on your screen. Remember, you can save your energy consumption by switching off bulbs and appliances when not in use. I am Chinwenwa Anyao. See you next time.